everybody knows that MLB The Show is the best baseball simulation out there today. There's no doubt about that. I think the big question here with MLB 13 The Show is whether or not the new features added to the game make it a must-buy for fans of the series. Now with MLB 13 The Show, don't expect any revolutionary changes across the board. You're not going to see that with this game. Instead, you'll find that the new bells and whistles added to the game enhance the experience as a whole and fix some of the issues that plagued last year's title. The same tried and true gameplay that you find in past MLB Show titles is also present in MLB 13 The Show. Of course, you get a plethora of control options for pitching, batting, as well as fielding, from analog pitching to pulse pitching, meter pitching, analog batting, zone batting, analog fielding, analog throwing. I mean, however you want to control the game, you pretty much can do it in MLB 13 The Show. However, all of these control options can be confusing to some, especially the novice user. So with MLB 13 The Show, what Sony decided to do is add a new beginner mode for those who are just getting started with the game. Basically how it works is the computer starts throwing you meatballs to start, giving you a chance to learn how to hit. Now as you progress, as you get better, the difficulty increases, the pitchers start throwing stuff other than fastballs, and it's a good way to learn the game if you're new to the series. However, hardcore fans of the show will likely skip this mode. Other gameplay changes are very minor. Some of you probably won't even notice it as you play. However, it does improve the experience overall. Of course, you'll find a number of new animations as you play the game. Bat on ball physics has improved. However, you will see a few glitches here or there from a ball physics standpoint, and some of the animations are pre-canned, so there'll be moments where you'll actually get stuck in an animation, which could be annoying at times. They've also added a new push-pull mechanic where they basically give each player a rating, in terms of hitting from left, center, and right field. And it's a subtle change, but it does affect gameplay in terms of more realistic hitting, whether it's line drives up the middle, dribblers through the infield, or long fly balls out of the park. They've also changed the timing window when it comes to hitting, making things a bit easier in terms of how to time a pitch and hit a ball. Guess pitch has also been changed as well, giving users a smaller window when they guess a pitch correctly, making it more challenging. Both are welcome additions. Now, one feature I did not welcome is the new fielding controls, specifically when it comes to throwing. They added a new button accuracy throw, which is similar to MVP baseball. It's basically metered throwing. However, it could take some getting used to. In my case, I just did not enjoy it at all and went back to analog throwing after a few tries. Now, despite the terrible new throwing meter and the occasional glitch here or there, gameplay is still as rock solid as ever. Now, if there's one part of the show that needs some major improvements, it's presentation. Sure, they added Steve Lyons to the booth, but commentary is pretty much the same as last year. Sure, you'll get a few new lines here or there, but you'll definitely hear a lot of the same commentary that you heard in last year's title. However, there are some changes that have been made for the better. You'll find several new camera angles used throughout each game. New Jumbotron graphics have been added to the game as well. And in the game's new postseason mode, which I'll get into a bit later, you'll get a number of new presentation enhancements there when you play in the postseason, including playoff logos, playoff graphics, as well as the crowd waving their towels throughout the game. However, they don't wave them as enthusiastically as you would expect. It's still a nice addition to the game. You'll also be treated to various instant replays, which are a nice touch. However, as a whole, presentation is pretty much the same as last year. Graphically, MLB The Show has hit its peak. You won't find many changes from a visual standpoint. Player models look great, the fields look great, lighting has slightly improved, the colors pop a little bit better, but the improvements I just mentioned are all very slight. I mean, you can barely tell the difference between MLB 12 The Show and MLB 13 The Show. Now, like I said, it's probably because the PS3 has hit its peak and we probably won't see any major graphical changes until the PS4 comes out. In an interview that I did with Ramon Russell, lead developer of MLB 13 The Show, one of the questions I posed him was in terms of improvements to franchise and Road to the Show. Now, these are the two biggest modes in MLB The Show, and both modes have grown stagnant over the past few years. So Sony tried to answer the call by adding a number of new improvements to both franchise and Road to the Show. With franchise mode, the major improvements involve budgets and scouting. Now, in the past, your budget didn't change from year to year based on how well or how bad you did. This year, that's changed. If you have a good season and you're a small market team, your budget will increase, giving you the ability to, make more moves, add more free agents, and improve your team overall. Now, from a scouting standpoint, MLB 13 The Show gives you several new ways to scout various players across the globe, making it more intuitive and, quite simply, more fun. Both are welcomed additions to franchise mode. However, these changes aren't revolutionary. Everything outside of budget and scouting is pretty much the same as last year. So if you're looking for any super changes, you're probably not going to find it here. However, the changes that were added, like I said, are welcome changes. Road to the Show has received a number of new changes this year, and in my opinion, I think most of them are welcomed changes. Of note include new running and catching controls, where it's simply a flick of the stick up or down to advance and return to base, as well as a new option where you can actually press a button to make a catch. Also, there are several new camera angles that specifically focus on your player as if you were playing a first-person shooter. I think this is a nice touch, despite the fact that sometimes the angles can get a bit wonky and make you feel a little bit dizzy. I think overall it was a good idea and was executed well. However, the only new feature that I did not enjoy in Road to the Show was the commentary. Now, instead of your typical play-by-play commentary, they've now ripped that, and the only time you'll actually hear any commentary in Road to the Show is during replays and during pregame and postgame. I get it, you want to hear the sounds of the field as if you were at the game. However, you can barely hear any sounds of the game when you're actually playing the mode. There's also a new postseason mode, which I mentioned before. Basically what it does is it enables you to skip the season and basically jump straight into the postseason. Now, as I mentioned before, the presentation in postseason mode could be better, but the mode does serve its purpose, which is giving you the ability to customize the playoff brackets, customize the number of games that are played, and ultimately give you a chance to skip all the season stuff and go straight into the postseason. Diamond Dynasty mode is also back, and there are a number of slight improvements, including player ratings and an easier way to manage your cards. It seems pretty similar to last year's version of Diamond Dynasty. Other notable updates from a replay value standpoint include the addition of the Show Live, where you can play alongside the real life season. Of course, since the season hasn't started yet, haven't had a chance to test out that mode, but it does sound exciting as well. Home Run Derby is back, and now you have the ability to play cross-platform, so you can play against other users whether or not you're on the PSP or the PS3. Now, one of the major gripes I've always had with the show was in terms of online play. It's basically been impossible to play online in the past due to lag and other issues. However, this year, Sony has done a number of things to try to combat that, one being the ability to see what type of connection each user has, so that if you do connect with somebody, you can also make sure that you connect with somebody with a good connection. In my experience so far, it's been somewhat difficult to find games. However, when I have got into games, performance has improved a bit in my part. Games are actually playable, although there still is a little bit of lag when you play. It's not as bad as it was last year. From an online standpoint overall, it's been a playable experience, which is more than I could have said last year. There's no doubt that MLB 13 The Show once again reigns supreme as king of the baseball diamond. However, if you're expecting major improvements across the board, as I mentioned before, you're not going to find that with this game. From a presentation and graphics standpoint, not much has changed here. However, the subtle improvements that have been made in gameplay, franchise, and Road to the Show, along with the addition of new modes like the Show Live and postseason mode, makes this game a must-buy for any baseball fan. That's a wrap on this episode of Sports Gamer Show. If you want more content, go to the website, www.sportsgamershow.com. Make sure to like the Sports Gamer Show Facebook page. Follow me on Twitter at SportsGamerShow. And if you want to play me on Xbox Live or the PlayStation Network, make sure to add me there as well. I'm Rio Pacino, and I'll see you next time.